Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel for another Spooktember video. And as you can probably hear, it's a filthy day out there today. It's absolutely persistently raining. It's dark, it's dingy. It's perfect for some Halloween crafting. So today we're going to make these little zombie poppets out of one of my little MDF kits that I put together specifically for Halloween this year. So we're going to recreate these today. So let's just pop those to one side. So this is the kit. So you get two of the poppet figures on the sheet. It's laser cut from the 2mm Medite, which is the carb friendly or carb compliant MDF. So this is the MDF without all the nastiness, all the nasty stuff in it. So all you have to do is just simply pop the figures out with your fingers. So just go around the outside, and if you don't know where the catch points are in these, not quite sure, hold it up to the light and then you'll be able to see through the cuts to exactly where the little catch points are. And then all you have to do is just put a tiny bit of finger pressure like that, just to simply pop out with your fingernail. And the reason I send them out in these sheets is that it's safer. It's better for postage because it's more. It's got protection. So in these little kits you get the little poppet doll, there's a little heart, in fact let me get one of the other ones in there. So you get little poppet dolls, there's a little heart shape, there's two buttons, I'll explain why in a second, and you get some pins because obviously thinking of you kind of thing. So that's pretty much where the buttons come into it, and the pins if you want to use those. So they're extras if you want to use them, you don't have to. Like I did on the other ones, I only used the one, which I'm going to do today. So I'm going to recreate those. So we've got everything else. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. In fact, there's 6 pins. So 3 pins per figure, which is perfect. And you can have them holding the pins whichever way around you want to do. Now, I did 2 sets of eyes, or buttons, for the eyes. Now, one is larger than the other. So as you can see, one button is slightly larger than the other. That just gives you the option, if you want to stick in the smaller one there and then adding the larger button over the top of the cross if you don't like the little cross thing, the little stitch thing. If you want to add one that's got 2 eyes on it, then the larger of the 2 buttons covers up, and it also gives it a little bit more kind of perspective, I think anyway. I may be wrong, as I am about lots of things, but there you go. Right, so let's just put those to one side. So we'll work on one at a time. So I've got my colours for these 2 little beauties. So we've got Indian turquoise for this one, and this one is sour apple. So they're from Americana, so the Deco Art Americana paint. So sour apple green and Indian turquoise for the blue. So we're going to do that one first, but we're going to prime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pot of white gesso. This just happens to be the Gesso Good white from Indigo Blue. So I'm going to just open that up, get rid of those horrible flakes. There we go. And I've got an ink blending foam and a handle, and I'm going to use the lid, and I'm just going to put some of that white gesso onto the foam, and then I'm going to go over the entire of the base of this one, and just give it a little bit of a priming layer. Now what this will do, and it will dry fairly quickly as well, but what this will do, it creates that priming layer, but also it adds a white base for the paint to go on to. So that means that the colour of the paint, the turquoise that we're going to add onto it, has a lighter base to start off with, which means it will be a brighter turquoise. If you'd added or just gone straight on top with your turquoise paint, to get the same kind of brightness, you probably would have had to use a couple of layers, a couple of coats of the paint to get that same sort of layering that we want, or the brightness of the turquoise that you want. If you do a white base with gesso to start off with, you probably will only have to do one. So while we're at it, I'm going to do the second one as well. So this is going to be the green. So we might as well do both while we've got the gesso out. So I'll go ahead and finish doing this, and what I'm also going to do is I'm going to prime the other little elements that we've got too, the buttons, the hearts, and I'm also going to do the pin. So once I've primed all that lot, I'll be right back. Alright, that's a little bit tidier. So while I was painting my figures with the white gesso, I thought to myself, do I really want two colours exactly the same? And seeing as I've got the opportunity of doing different colours, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I've just jumped into my paint pots and I've pulled out Orchid, which is a purple colour, and I've got bright orange. So I think I'm going to do these two characters in those two colours. So in the end, I'm going to end up with 4 different coloured characters, which I think is going to be a bit better. You've seen the Indian turquoise and the sour apple one here today, but also in my social media posts that I've done already with these as a little bit of a teaser. So let's just try different colours. So let's start off then with the orchid. So let me just give that a shake up. Let's pop that one to one side for now. Right, so as with most laser cut shapes, there is a little bit of kind of like browning that you get along the edges, and that will show through. It's almost like natural distress, which is fine, it's great. It will disappear once you add a couple of layers of paint. So that's had 2 layers of gesso, so that's had 2 coats of gesso. And I did allow to dry in between. When I say allow, I used a heat gun. As you do. As you do. Right, so I've got another ink blending foam. So I'm not using the same one as I did with the gesso, because I don't want the colour to be diluted. I don't want it to be muted down. I don't want it to be any more pale than it is already. So I'm just going to come in now and go around. Yeah, I think these are going to look really nice. And obviously, you know, purple not being my favourite colour, my not favourite colour, I do still use it, particularly around Halloween, because it's a Halloween colour. Purple, orange, green, and purple, orange, green and black. More orange than black. Green for slime. And purple because. And you can see how well that takes once you've got that base of white gesso. So while I've got the purple out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just colour one of those buttons, and that's going to be for the other figure. Now what I like to do is I like to leave the edges black. I don't like going over the edges, because I think it just adds a little bit of like a darker border around. So that's the orange. So I will put that to one side, get this tidied and cleaned up, and then I'll be back and we'll do the orange one in a second. Alright, just give the paints a really good shake up. Now I find oranges and yellows are best to give it a really good shake, because with them being more translucent colours, they tend to separate more easily in your pot. Right, let's do the bottom half first. You see, without that white base, God, listen to the rain. Without the white base, this would be a lot darker. And that's just one coat. I don't want to go too hard. Yeah, there seems to be something in the paint there. But that's okay. So that's just one coat. So what I'll do is I'll let that dry, and then we'll be ready to carry on with the next step. Just have a little sippy. Lovely. Right, so full disclosure, I have done 2 coats on those 2 colours, on the purple and the orange, just because, why not? I had the paints out, so I did. What I've also done is I've left one of those buttons white, which is fine. You can paint them black, you can paint them white, you can paint them contrasting colours if you want to. It's up to you. You know, the choice is yours, really. So they're now dry, so I'm going to put those to one side. There, move those 2 other completed ones out the way. And we're just left now with the little hearts to deal with and the pin. So let's just do those hearts now. So I've got indigo blue matte acrylic paint. This is post box red. Or back in the day, it would have been foam box red, as well as post box red. So let me just grab a little bit of that paint from there. I've had this quite a while. And again, one of those things that you can probably, if you wanted to, do 2 or 3 coats for. And one of the reasons why I like doing this with the ink blending foams is that you also get a little bit of texture with it, and you don't really get the brush strokes. And again, I'll probably give these a couple of coats, a couple of going overs, just because. And again, just put a little bit more paint down there. That'll do. We don't really need a huge amount, because we're not covering a huge surface area. That's better when they stay in place on your mat. Oh, before we put the red paint away, let's just bring that pin in. Let's just give that also the top of that pin. Just give that a red top. There we go. Lovely stuff. Right, I shall dry those off, tidy up. I'll manage to get paint everywhere. I'll tidy up, clean up, and then I'll be right back. Ugh, messy pup. All right, so while they're drying, let me just bring in one of these other shapes. Now, as you can see, the cutouts on the, you can see my hand through those ones. They are cut all the way through to the other side. On this one, you can't, because I've backed it with some pieces of black card. So if you're going to hang these up on your Halloween tree or use them as ornaments and stuff, then you can do that. One of the ways in which you can do it is you can get some black card, just drop your figure down before you paint it or whatever, and then just draw around it. I just cut mine because I've got the shape anyway. I just cut a silhouette for mine. So I'm just going to flip that over, and then I'm going to put some glue on, but we don't need the arms because there's no holes in the arms, and there's none in the feet either. But we do need a little bit at the top taking off. There we go. So that, which way around have I got that to go? There we go. So that's now going to fit just over the top, like so, and that will provide, there we go, so you now can't see through. So let me grab some glue. And I'll just add some glue around. Let's go around the eyes, just round there. We're not putting any on the arms, are we? Okay, and then just drop it down. Put that to one side and then flip that one over. I've already cut this one. Make sure we get it the right way. I've cut this one a bit shorter. Oh, excuse me. I don't know where that came from. Oh dear. See, that rain continues to fall. There we have it. Just wipe off any excess. I think it looks so much better when you can't see, especially if you're hanging them up. Definitely, definitely. Right, so let's leave that to dry for a moment or two, and then I'll be right back. All right, so it's time for the pin. All right, so I don't have any silver acrylic paint, so I'm going to make my own. How, you may ask? Right, so I'm going to use some of the Indigo Blue Luscious Pigment Powders, and this one happens to be silver. So these are water reactive metallic pigments. So if you mix these with water, you'll get a silver watercolour paint. If you mix them with some kind of medium, in this case I'm going to use gilding gum, or a kind of gloss medium will work. Now don't tell me I've nearly run out. I do have another one somewhere. There we go. Oh. Now this one usually spits at me when I open it, so I'm going to open it that way. Here we go. That's all. More than I'm going to need. It always spits when I want to close it as well. Right, that's going to be much more than this is enough. So what I'll do is I'm just going to wet my brush with the medium and then just dip it in to the powder, and then I'm just going to mix it up here. Need a little bit more, just to make it a little bit more. There we go, that's enough. That's just the right amount. So I can turn that around now, and I can just paint the pin with the silver. And it dries really quickly. Not on your mat, but on here it will dry really quickly. So that you can just add a second coat almost pretty much straight away. There we go. And then just drop your brush back into water, and that's it. You're done for that. Like I said, it was far too much anyway. There we go. Dry already. Okay, so I'll have a quick tidy up, put some of these paints away now because we're not going to need them anymore. Dry everything off, and then we're ready for a little bit of construction. All right, so vintage photo distressing. You can use any other brown. You could use a permanent soluble one if it's soluble, oil-based one if you want to. But you don't have to. So all I'm going to do is just go around now, just giving our little characters just a little bit of grunge, because it's Halloween. And bearing in mind this is water reactive, so you can blend with your finger until it's dry. Or leave them clean if you want to. If you think you've got too much on, just get a wet wipe and wipe it off and do it again. So what I like to do is just go over the mouth a little bit, just to kind of darken that area too. And then just a smudge around the eye. And it just kind of helps to sell the illusion, if you like. So just give it a rub with my fingers, just to kind of blend it. There we go. Haha. So that's that one, and then we'll do the same thing again. A bit more subtle on the orange. Brown being more of a warmer tone. If you think you've got a little bit too much, just wet your finger and just rub it and it'll come off. If you're using water-based inks, that is. If you're using an oil-based ink, and if you've got a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, or if you're in the UK, surgical spirit, or some spare vodka, or some perfume or aftershave, because they mostly all contain alcohol. So you can use that to clean your stamps as well. Did you know that you can use perfume as long as it contains alcohol to clean your stamps? If you've got oil-based ink on them and you want to give them a good clean. If you've got some old perfume, It works, trust me. And anybody who says, oh, it's not going to do your stamp any good, really, the stamp will outsee you. I'll tell you now. Before that alcohol has any effect, it'll see you out. Okay, so, button. So let's add a little bit of grunge around the button. And then around that one. There we go. Now with these buttons, obviously there are 4 holes in them anyway, so you could, if you wanted to, get some embroidery floss or whatever and put a few crosses, or go through with a needle and cotton if you want to, just to add that kind of detail on if you really want to. Or you can add some faux detail in at a later date, like I've done on that one, just with a black pen. So you don't have to do it. In fact, did I do it on both? Yeah, I have done it on both. So you don't actually have physically to do it. If you want it to lay flat on your figures, then just go over with a black pen later, which I will probably do. So let's get all this stuff glued down now. So the purple one's going on the orange one. For some reason I want to call these Bert and Ernie now. And the white one. Lovely, starting to come together. A blob of glue on the heart. So let's drop him there. And the glue I'm using, if you don't know what this is the Tombow Mono Aqua, which is the clear one, as opposed to the white one, which is PVA. And I'm sure this is probably PVA as well, but it's white and spirit based. Okay, now I've got a little bit just that's squidged out underneath, so I can just grab a brush if I want to, and then I can just very carefully just mop that glue up. There we go. And then, now then, which one shall we give the pin to? Let's put him on this one. Which one did we do it on the other one? Yeah, so it was the figure facing this way, so we'll do it on this one. So I'll put a little bit of glue just about there, and we'll turn the pin round this time. And again, as soon as I've squished out a little bit of glue there, I'll just grab my little brush. Alright, so we now need to leave those to dry for a little bit. I'm not going to use those other buttons, so they can be used for a different project at a later date. Right, let's let them dry, and then I'll be back in a little while. Alright, so they've been glued down for a little while now. So I've got some bits of twine. Now I reckon 7 to 8 inches is more than enough. I couldn't find my box of embroidery floss. I've got loads of it, different colours, that I keep for such occasions like this, just as if I ever need anything like this. But so I've had to steal some wool. It's obviously in one of the boxes that I've yet unpacked. Now normally I would use a colour which is more compatible, but I don't have that at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some wool through this, some blue wool. It's almost like a petrol blue, like a mallard blue, which is cool. Don't mind it. I'm going to just cut it a little bit shorter. And then I'm going to get a pin, and I'm just going to start opening up the threads and the fibres in the wool. Now, like I said, embroidery floss is a lot easier to do this with. I try not to use a craft knife or anything like that, because sometimes you can shear through and cut, but a pin usually works really well. If you've got a brush or a comb as well, you can come in and start separating the wool fibres with that, and you can go as fine or as coarse with this as you like. I just like to give them a little bit of a hairdo. Now for the baker's twine one, this usually takes a little bit longer to do because there's not so much of it, and it's a little bit more not as forgiving, if you like, and you might have to encourage it through the hole. There you go, like so. Once you're through, loop it round like you would do a tag, and then you can cut it to whatever length you want. And again, let's just do a little bit longer this way, and then you can just start to tease those fibres apart. Once you get going, it's easy. All right, so I'll carry on doing that, and I'll join you again in a minute or two. Might be worthwhile doing it on a cutting mat. All right, so blade of the scissors worked really well. Like that, like it a lot. Right, okay, so let's move that to one side. No longer needed. So now we just have to decorate a little bit. So let's just go onto this one first. Just add some faux stitching. Got a little fly buzzing around me now. And then we'll just add a little bit of decoration just on the heart, I think. A little bit of decoration on there. And then on this one, we'll do the same thing. Some faux cotton just through the eye. There we go. And I think we're done. And I think they look so cute. And as a set, different colours, hanging on your Halloween tree or as part of a decoration, hanging from your mantle or anything like that, are just so cool. But you could also use them as place settings on your table if you wanted to, or anything like that. I just think they're absolutely really cute. So I hope you do too. And I hope you've enjoyed watching me create these little poppet dolls today, voodoo, zombie dolls, whatever you want to call them. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all for me for now. I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.